Dave Portnoy is an absolute maniac, and you're going to see why in this clip I'm about to play. It's actually really, really funny, but at the same time, when I come through with my insights, I'm going to let you know why it isn't exactly for the best way for you to be as a person. I'm Coach Colin, coolest high performance coach in the world. And if you want the absolute best insights, the podcast you love, hit that subscribe button. We're at episode 1920, Dave Portnoy, Joe Rogan Experience. Let's go.
And read a bunch of mean things that people say about you and just go back and forth with them and like saying things that's not true. It's like, ugh. You're welcome to have your thoughts. Good luck.
Good way to look at it.
I'm not going to engage in that.
See, I'm like a petty person. I'm quite petty, actually. So, like, if somebody says something I don't like, not once, but if someone says it a bunch, I keep a record. I keep a mental record.
The champagne bottles?
Champagne bottles, yeah. That's something. So I have champagne bottles engraved with the top of the list enemies of mine. And I wait for them to fuck up, and then I pop them. So, like, the most famous example of that is John Skipper, the old ESPN guy.
I don't know who that is.
He ran ESPN. And Dana
okay.
just talked about it the other day because he said he was anti-MMA. The deal never would have happened. He ran ESPN. So we had a show on ESPN, Barstool Van Talk. And it maybe set a record. Lasted one episode. He canceled it for things we said, which in hindsight, I wish we didn't say them the way we did. But it was years in the past. So we launched one episode. ESPN had a little uprising about doing business with us. And they canceled after one episode. They didn't tell us. And John Skipper was quoted as saying, I didn't realize Barstool Van Talk, that was the name of the show, Barstool Van Talk, would be associated with Barstool. That was a direct quote he had. So we put him on a champagne bottle. Literally like 3 days later, he got blackmailed by his Coke dealer. Supposedly. This is what happened. It had to step down. According to John, it's the only time he used this guy. He found a random Coke dealer off the street, impossible to believe, and got blackmailed. So he popped the champagne bottle. It was like it was perfect timing.
He had to leave ESPN because of a Coke dealer?
That's the story. That's the story. Yeah. And then he went over to run DAZN.
He runs DAZN
He
now?
used to. He doesn't anymore. So yeah, but the champagne bottles. And then HBO did a quick little like documentary on us. I thought it was going to be fair and even. That's one of the last times that was almost the last time I believed the media would be fair. It wasn't. It was a hit piece, but they showed the champagne bottles, so people became aware of it.
Now, that's absolutely hilarious. That's just a hilarious thing to do, to picture that you walk into Dave's house or you walk into Barstool and there's just like a bunch of shelves with just big champagne bottles, and each one of them just says ESPN, John Skipper, just like a whole row of them. That's absolutely hilarious. But here's where the high performance coach side comes in. You don't want to hold that type of hate in your heart, right? Because when you're like think about what hopes are. Like when people say your hopes and your dreams, like hopes are always associated with such good things. If you take something as powerful as hope and you apply it to something so negative, that's a really bad place to be in, because again, like I just said, your hopes are something that sits inside your heart. So you don't want negativity sitting inside your heart towards someone. The notion of thinking and the notion of celebrating something bad happening to somebody else is crazy. It's just bad energy, and it's worse for you than it is for the person, because the person's just going through the thing that they're going through, right? And they're gonna bounce back for the most part. But you now are celebrating this bad thing happening to somebody. I really do think that's the worst place for a person to be in. Like, don't celebrate terrible things like that. But if you do, use a champagne bottle, right? Um, it's actually ridiculous. It's so I would love to see one of those champagne bottles. Oh my gosh, I should have Googled that beforehand. But you do see examples of this. You see terrible examples of this. An example of this that I remember seeing is Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels, godfather of the Manosphere, rests in power. When he died, there was loads of black women just celebrating because he said some pretty harsh things to black women and women in general. He just had some harsh notions. And he was also really harsh to men who weren't stepping up to the plate the way they should. He was a harsh guy. He would give you some really rough, fatherly type advice. And he was very blunt about it. And people were celebrating as he died. But think about what you're celebrating. You're celebrating that his daughter lost her father. You know? You're celebrating that a bunch of young men who were looking for guidance lost that person for guidance. You saw that with Jordan Peterson as well. When certain people saw that Jordan Peterson ended up on a dependency, a benzo dependency, and was in the worst pain of his life, they were celebrating that. They were making light of it. They were happy that his daughter was going through this turmoil of trying to figure out how to save her father. They were happy that his wife could potentially lose her husband, that his son could lose his father, that his granddaughter could lose her grandfather. They were celebrating that. That's a terrible place to be in mentally for the people who were celebrating. You see that right now with Andrew Tate. The guy goes to jail, which I have my whole opinions on what's going on there. But the guy goes to jail and people are celebrating. People are happy that he's going to jail. Now, if he's guilty of what they're saying he's guilty of, then obviously you should be happy. But what Joe Rogan actually says in this episode is, if you are happy and hoping that he's going to jail, then you're actually happy and hoping that he actually trafficked people. You see what I mean by the mindset? What kind of mindset is that? So you have to really think when you're holding this dark energy towards people, because that's what it is. It's dark energy. It might put a smile on your face, but it's dark, evil ass energy. You gotta understand what it's doing to you. You know? What we concentrate on and what we get super happy about, our brain brings us more of that. That's real. Like what you celebrate, your mind goes, okay, that's the good thing. Well, then that's what we'll look out for. And that's what we'll try and bring into our lives. Your brain really does that. It's a real thing. So if you are sitting back and you have had somebody who you've had bad blood with, and you're sitting back waiting for something to happen to them, I'm telling you, put that energy aside. Remove that energy from your heart. It's actually the worst thing for a person to be sitting back and waiting for something bad to happen to another person. And I'm telling you, it doesn't seem like it, but it's hurting you way more than it's hurting that other person. Way more. It's literally like you've just like put a little bit of poison inside of yourself. And you're like, man, I can't wait. I can't wait for that bad thing. It's the worst thing. So as funny as this clip was of Dave talking about his champagne bottles, you know, make sure that you actually don't try to emulate this type of behavior. You know? That's it. Peace.